we are about to move into our last segment of the day, which is the mountain of media. And I am so blessed to have such an amazing woman who's a friend and a sister to me, who really embodies this completely, in groundbreaking ways. I'm going to say, I see Angie is here. I'm going to invite her to the stage. Angie, oh, you look so
So
cute.
it was like
Oh,
Google and everything, so it was hard for me. Sorry, y'all, but I'm here. Thank you.
no, it's fine. You look amazing. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm so excited, and I'm ready to have this convo. I love what we will be talking about today. So I'm excited.
Yes, absolutely. And I just have to say, I'm so happy to see you, first of all.
I
Um,
know.
things have been so busy, and but I need to hug you, like, and I need to come see your beautiful home and bring
Yes.
my
Yeah.
housewarming gift. I see you sharing the rainbows that have been popping up everywhere. I
Mm-hmm.
love that, rainbows are a symbol of God's promises. And I know that God's promises are all over you, girl. I mean, I've been a witness.
The rainbows were actually getting stronger during this time, and I was going through some things, so it was great to see them.
Wow.
Reminder, it was like, wow, God, they were like so vibrant. I'm like, it would be this time that they're
Wow.
so yeah, yeah.
That's so beautiful. Yes. So our theme is promises in the pandemic. And I love how, God shows up at all times when we need him, right?
Mhm.
And I remember this time, I had finished a long day at work, and I laid on my bed, and I was exhausted. I felt depressed. I was like, Lord, I don't know if I can go on another day like this. But
Mhm.
then I laid down and I felt the sun. The sun just started shining on me. And
Mhm.
I just knew that that was God. I
Yeah.
just knew it was God. And so I love how you're sharing, you're sharing that, and how he makes, his presence known, like when at the times that you need him, right?
Yeah,
It's
and
just
it's the
so
most subtle
beautiful.
ways. The
In the
most.
most subtle ways, yes. Oh, yes. So we are going to talk about the mountain of media today. And I want to introduce you all to who I feel is the most powerful woman in media, honestly. The founder of the Shade Room,
Thank you.
which, yeah, I mean, I have been so blessed to witness the growth. Um, and we actually met, all of my guests, I'm realizing a lot of us met around the same time. We met in 2015, and through one investor that we have both shared. And honestly, I had never heard of the Shade Room prior to meeting you, and so I think in that week we had did a retreat together, and I want to say, like, within that week, you got like 500,000 followers on Instagram, and I was like, "What is going?" I was like, "What is the Shade Room? What is?" And like it's now a media giant, um and we have to give you your respect, because you made a post recently. It was like the Shade Room was ranked like amongst on a list of other media companies, and it was like the top one. And these other media companies was like like NBC, like it was like legit established media businesses. But now you have built an empire that has really, I feel, is the most influential media platform in our culture. So tell us about your journey. Like, how did the Shade Room even start?
Um, People keep telling me, don't stop saying it started on accident, but it did. I mean, it wasn't an accident, but at the time I was working this dead end job. I was in accounting, but I was like a bookkeeper at a motorcycle shop,
Mhm.
and I was making like, I think like I had just gotten a raise to $15 an hour, and um, and I knew I knew I didn't want to be an accountant anymore. It just because I never, like, if anybody that worked with me back in the day knows that I had to have my own business because I was the worst. Like,
Right.
like, but people just kept me around because they liked my personality or spirit, but I just wasn't built for like the, that life. But I was trying to pursue writing because I knew I had come to a realization that I really loved writing, but I hid it for so long because I thought that I couldn't make money off of writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would be a broke writer. And I'm like, no, like, I didn't care anymore. I'm like, whether I'm broke or whatever, I'm going to pursue my passion. So
Yeah.
I ended up co-writing a script with a woman named Jordana Spiro. After I declared to the world that I wanted to be a writer, one of my mentors actually paired me with someone who could write. And so we wrote the script together and it went to Sundance.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my first confirmation from God. Like that was my first like, wow, this is attainable. Like I can really become somebody, right? Like I went to Sundance and I was meeting Quentin Tarantino and I'm like, they not broke. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So it opened my eyes to what I could do. So I got back to the motorcycle shop because I was doing them at the same time. Before no, I didn't even go back, my bad. I ended up leaving to Park City for the Screenwriters Lab because it got into Sundance. And then the last couple of days, my boss gave me an ultimatum because I was like gone and everything like that. And he was like, if you don't come back, you're fired. And I was like, my dream.
Right.
It was like, I was like, okay, I'm definitely quitting. You know what I mean? When I got back, I had no money in the bank. And a script, it was an indie film, so it was gonna take. I never even really made money off that script, right? So I'm like, what am I gonna do? And so one day, all my friends were in law school. I graduated with a 2.8 GPA. I couldn't get into law school. I couldn't get into grad school. I couldn't pass the GMAT or the LSAT. It was just like I felt like my whole life was crumbling down, and I would call my friends up and they would be in law school in their master's program. And I would call them up and be like, y'all, let me tell you what happened today. You know what I mean? Because I love media and I loved going to all the sites and everything. And one of my friends said, well, since you're doing this all day and you're so good at it, she was like, why don't you just start your own site? Like it was just, she never thought I would do it. It was just a joke,
Right.
And so I started my own. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. That day, I decided I was gonna do it, and I started on Instagram. I opened up all the social media handles. I came up with the name The Shade Room. Don't ask me how or why. It was like a quick thought, and I just went with it. And I said, okay, it's gonna be called The Shade Room, and I opened up all of the handles. And that day, I started blogging on social media, right? Wow. And I started on Instagram because I didn't know how to make a website and I didn't have the money either. So I was like, well, I was watching some podcasts and they were like, start today. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna start today. And to be real with you, my goal was to have 100,000 followers by the end of the year. It was supposed to be a side hustle to keep me afloat while I was pursuing my screenwriting.
Right.
So I thought it was gonna be some small thing. The first day I blogged 24/7. That day I literally did not sleep because I would.
You were just reporting stories that you were seeing online.
Yeah, so like I would go online and see what the other sites were posting, and then I would post it, and then I would give my own personal opinion, And but see, the reason why it was starting to catch fire because I noticed the first day I had 300 followers and I had been on Instagram for a while at that point, and I didn't even have 300 followers on my personal page. So I knew that something was going on. But the reason why it caught a blaze was because at the time, websites were trying to figure out their relationship to social media. Right. They were like, because if you think about it, everybody was getting their news from social media just from a friendship link on Facebook. So they're like, they're not coming to www. anymore. You think about the last time you went to www. for news. We don't do that no more.
Right. No.
But, it was at the beginning of that downward slope for websites. So it was something new. People were like, oh, we get our news straight to us on social media in our news feed. It was disruptive. But me, I didn't know I was disrupting an industry. I just was like, this is my weakness.
Wow.
I can't make a website. Wow. And so by starting on Instagram was the best thing that I ever did because it it got us that disruptive energy. You know what I mean? And like,
Right. Yeah.
first week we had 10,000 followers, and from there the rest is history.
I mean, it was like I was like, what is going on? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, because it was like 500,000 followers in a week, like, and
Oh, well,
at
like
that
it took us 6
time,
months to get there. It took us 6 months the
6
first time.
months. I
Yeah, yeah.
mean, yeah. Well, if no,
It's
okay. Well, I think what I remember now is I think your Instagram had got shut down, but then it like and then you got the account back up, and then like all the follow, but whatever it was like wildfire. It was like
Mhm.
growing, growing, growing. But I love what you said that that day you decided to start now
Mhm.
and you use the tools that were at your disposal. So you didn't wait on, having someone to build your website. Like you just got on Instagram and you started doing what you do. And, that was, obviously a game changer. And as I've learned more about your journey and seeing how it's grown from there, talking about the theme for today, promises in the pandemic, you actually birthed, from a business standpoint, out of a time of crisis, when you were figuring out how to make ends meet, right? And you decided, what was that moment that allowed you to turn, a crisis into opportunity for the shade room?
It was seeing God's character, because I think that for
Mm,
me, when but it wasn't that as easy as that, because I
mhm.
questioned myself and I questioned God, and because I remember when I was at Sundance, I'm thinking, oh, my life is about to take this.
Right.
It's Sundance, and so getting fired at Sundance, right? I remember
Yeah.
I got fired, or I was given this ultimatum and I quit. Same thing, fired, whatever.
Yeah.
Right before I was gonna go on stage and say a poem. Right, I was gonna, because
Wow.
everybody there had movies. I was the first time writer, so all I had was a poem, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna say my poetry." And
Yeah.
right before I was gonna say my poetry on stage, I got fired. But I'm gonna tell you why I had the faith. I'm gonna tell you where that came from.
Yes.
So I got fired, and I was like, I just saw my everything crashing, because I was like, he gave me an ultimatum. I quit slash fired, and I don't have any money. That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, what am I
Mm,
gonna do? How am I gonna pay my rent? I'm already,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Because I had to go
Yeah.
out there. So I get on stage and I start crying, and everybody thinks that I'm crying because it was a poem about my mom and my dad, which was emotional, but I was crying because I'm like, all of this is about to.
Yeah. Like, wow.
And so, literally 5 minutes after I walked off that stage, first of all, I got a standing ovation because of how emotional I was. And then, and honestly, I wouldn't have been that emotional had I not got fired.
Right.
Let me tell you what happened, right? I get off the stage, and Michelle Satter, who was the head of Sundance at the time, Sundance Lab, she comes up to me and says, "I'm going to give you a grant." She's
Wow.
like, "I'm gonna give you a grant for $5,000 because I believe in you." Just from that.
Wow.
So you
Wow.
know what I'm saying? How God worked it. He was like, "Okay,
Yes.
you gonna be
Right.
on
Right.
stage. They gonna
Swiftly too. Swiftly.
exactly." So when I went back home, I had $5,000 to, which at the time I thought I was balling. You know what I mean? I had
Right.
$5,000 to kind of hold me on rent. I was living in Hawthorne. My rent was $950. It ran up in 3 months, right? But I had
Yeah.
a little cushion. But it was what God did there that showed me, dang, He must really love me. You know what I mean? Like, God,
Yes.
He has
Yes.
to love me, right? But
Yes.
while my money was running out, I was pulling out my hair. I was crying. I applied to Pinkberry, and Pinkberry did not hire your girl. And
Oh
I had
my God.
a degree. I can't even get a job at Pinkberry. They passed
Wow.
me, y'all. I'm telling you,
Right.
I was at the bottom, right? So
Wow.
it was a faith walk, and so I had nothing to lose. So I said, well, let me just try it. What's the worst that can
Right.
happen? You know what I
Right.
mean? But the thing that you said about my weakness is that sometimes we get scared to start with humble beginnings. But
Yeah.
imagine if I was too scared to start with my humble beginnings, I would have worked my way out of my blessing. I literally, if I would have
Exactly.
went there for the website, I would have never popped like I popped. I popped like I
Exactly.
popped because I said, regardless of my circumstances and what I don't have, I'm gonna start. So for a
Yes.
lot of people that are watching, if you feel like, oh, I don't have the material for that podcast, you got the material for the podcast. It's right here. You
Right
got
on your phone. Come on now. Come on
start
now.
doing it on Instagram or in YouTube
Yes.
until you can buy a camera, until you can buy it.
Right.
You know what I'm
Start
saying?
with what you have. Start with
Yes.
what you have. Yes. Wow. Well, that was incredible because I mean, from there, like the shade room became an actual business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I've been just kind of researching as I was preparing for our talk today, because the business model for the shade room started with advertising, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, when did you actually start making money that this became like an actual business?
So again, when we talk about born out of crisis, I hit another crisis. I was my money was running out fast, and like I was, I had people give me money, like to kind of help me,
Right.
sustain myself because I was on the edge. Like I was $10 a week budget for food. It was that bad because I didn't.
Yeah.
I had this property. It was on the New York Times, but I still had not learned how to monetize my business.
Right.
So it happened in crisis because it was I was on my last leg with my manager. The what do you call that person? The landlord. I was on the last
Yeah.
leg with the landlord who owned the apartment, and she she was like, "You're gonna have to pay." Like I was in the grace period, and if I didn't pay that money in the grace
Mm.
period, I was gonna be in big trouble. Okay, with my landlord because I had been not paying rent, but. So I knew so I think it was like a Friday that this all happened, and I had that Saturday and Sunday. Y'all know everybody
Yes. The
know that
grace
grace
period. Come
period.
on, that's a word right there.
Y'all know the grace period. I know that's the word. By Monday, that money had to be ready for that check that was gonna get cashed, right?
Yeah.
And so, but on Friday I was broke, right? No money. Let
Mm.
me tell you what happened. I was thinking, and I was like, you know what? I have an audience. At the time, this is gonna sound so obvious, but it wasn't because at the time, the only people that were doing this were IG models and influencers. You know what I mean?
Right.
You didn't have a business doing this on Instagram this way, and
Right.
so I was like, well, I have an audience. Um, you know, I can see if they want to be on the platform. Like if there's any businesses that want to advertise on the platform. So I remember
Mm.
I put out a post that day on Instagram and I said, advertisements for $75. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm doing $75 ads or whatever. And
Wow.
literally, when I tell you, I borrowed my sister's PayPal. I told her, I said, let me borrow your PayPal. I'm gonna give you a little cut. Let me borrow.
Right.
That day, I think 12 to 13 businesses paid
Wow.
for ads. They were like, we've been wanting to know how we could get on this.
Wow.
And they paid for ads, and that paid my rent. And so
Mm.
I was able to put that money into my account. And I'm to this day, I'm like, PayPal be taking a little bit long to put the money in there. By Monday, that money was in my
It
account.
was there. Come on, Lord.
That
Come
check
on,
went through.
Lord.
And from that point, the funny thing is, I've never ever had to post. We're doing ads. Like you'll never see that. It's
Wow.
never been. That
Right.
was my first and only post, and from there, it just kept building itself. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, yeah, it was born out of crisis. I do
Wow.
believe in crisis. I come on, with my back
Listen,
against the wall. Yeah.
yeah, but then your empire was born. This media empire was born that day. Like, and I love being able to look back and see God's hand in everything, in every perceived failure, challenge, setback. I mean, he was setting you up, girl. Like, and also, we have emphasized the timing of things as well, times and seasons, right? Because this was born when social media was taking over in terms of now being the source for information. And
Yeah.
so I'm just amazed. I'm amazed, and you're in, such a powerful industry. As I've been researching the seven mountains of influence, media controls what society thinks, honestly.
Mm.
And but you're in an industry of giants. Like you built an empire amongst other giants, and I would love to hear, how do you learn to, because let's talk about the reach of the shade room, just so that everyone understands. And I know you guys, you probably are following it, so you already know. You guys have how many followers? 22 million. I mean, I feel like it goes up every week.
We have 24.6 million on Instagram, but we have another almost 5.3 on Facebook, and then we have I think like 1.7 on TikTok, and over a million on I think maybe 1.3 on Snapchat. So we have all these communities
Listen,
where YouTube
right,
type of stuff.
right.
But the influence of the shade room, you know how that scripture where it says God can use the foolish to shame the wise.
Yes,
Literally, this is a platform that started on Instagram, and you know what I mean.
right,
It started with
right.
no money, a broke girl opening an Instagram page, and we have one of the biggest reaches now. You know what I mean? Like
The
we get
biggest,
over
yes,
6 billion impressions per month. We reach
yes.
about 40 to 50 million people every week. You know what I
Wow,
mean? So it's like
wow.
it's monster numbers and monster influence.
Yes,
We're the
yes.
number one cross social platform, period, in 2020.
Period.
Yes.
Period, y'all.
Period. Like that.
Listen.
There was no cross platform social platform that had more numbers than the Shade Room. But I feel that it, like, in total, right?
Hmm.
So it has been interesting, but it has been a faith walk. I'm not going.
Yes. In what ways?
There's, like you said, the first time we got deleted. You know what I mean?
I know, because that's when we met. You were going through challenges of the page getting shut down.
Yeah, okay, so here I am. I joined this investment group, and then the page is shut down. I'm like,
Right.
I felt like such a loser out. And then let me tell you, at that point when the page got shut down, all the people I thought were friends were coming out like, "See, told you she was stupid."
Wow.
Like
The
they would be
naysayers.
you know what I mean? They'd be like, she was stupid for starting that business on social media. You know what I mean? So
Right.
everybody CNN was posting it. Everybody, BuzzFeed was
Wow.
posting it. But as they were posting it, what they didn't know, see, this is how God be working. I'm trying to tell
Come
you,
on now.
God is so supreme.
Yes.
So everybody thought the Shade Room was over. So all the platforms, all the blogs, everybody, media companies were posting about this. But what they
Mhm.
didn't know was they were saying, "Oh, this is a precautionary tale. This is why you shouldn't do this."
Right.
It was all these negative headlines. But what they didn't know was they were letting their audience know about the Shade Room, because they would say now they've started at the Shade Room Inc. And it's, this small page, but they were,
Right. So more marketing.
exactly. Everybody was bringing their audience back to the Shade Room. So when you say you
Wow.
had 500,000 in a week, it felt like that because we shut down at 500,000, and the second time we grew faster. We had 500,000
We
instead
grew
of in
faster.
6 months.
Wow.
It was 2 months. So they didn't. So getting shut down pushed us even further. So more people follow quicker. You know what I'm
Ooh.
saying? And so because I've had experiences like that, I'll share something that some people may sound crazy, but I've been called crazy. Noah was crazy when he, was trying to build the ark.
Listen, when he was building that ark, come on now.
Yeah, in 2017, right after I took money from Bryce, and he was, Bryce was my only investor.
Yeah.
I heard from God not to take any more investment money,
Wow.
and why I still don't know. But I'm assuming it's
Mm.
because he wants that. This community is so important. It's the Black community primarily.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he wants to protect, I think, the freedom and flexibility of it, because I don't know what he's going to turn it into later. So.
Right.
So if you have a whole bunch of people invested, they may have decision making, whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I heard that word, I was like, God, you playing. Because how can I survive in an industry where it's unheard of, one, not to take investment money, but two,
Exactly.
all the big players have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes,
How
yes. And I remember at the time that you were being shaped to really turn it into a full-fledged media company, which requires, millions in venture capital, right? And all of those, resources that we see, other media platforms that were growing at the time. But you made a profound point, and this goes back to something we talked about earlier, is to discern God's voice in all your decisions. But you heard from God, but I commend you for being obedient, because like you said, you never know what God is going to grow it to from here. And
Listen,
you have to be mindful of whose
it's been
hand is in
it's been
it.
a struggle to be obedient because I didn't have money thrown at me that I ain't never seen before.
Right.
Really,
Oh, wow.
I've never seen the type of money that was thrown at me. And honestly, I don't care to be. I never had a dream of being super super rich. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't aspire to be like a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that I personally aspire to. But
Yeah.
so when I got offered the different money along the way, I'm like, oh, that's cool enough for me. I could be cool for the rest of my life. You know,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I didn't
Right.
shoot, what I was getting was big money. And to the faith it took, I'm telling you, to turn that down. Because let me tell you what people will tell me.
Yeah.
The investors will say, if you were smart, you would take investment money. Because if you don't, your platform could just be gone tomorrow if Instagram dies, or if you know what I mean. Like I heard that about 1,000 times. I can't tell you how many times during my journey I've heard people say, "But Instagram may not be around tomorrow, or you delete it again." And they would all say, "You're dumb for not taking this money, because why wouldn't you want to take money so you could be more sure of your future and the future of this business?" It's been the hardest thing, I'm telling you. Even last week, I had a moment where I was just breaking down, and I was like, God, why would you tell me to go this route? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. Why can't I take investment money? That's going to be easy. If I took investment money, all the things I want to do, I could do right there. But see, he gave me a vision, and I'm like, okay, the vision he said we would be is so big, right? Like, as far as, because he showed me like Black CNN, like actual.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Helping the community with our stories and digging deep, investigating stuff and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, God, how are we gonna get there with no investment money?
But see, his ways are not our ways. And I believe that, he's entrusting you with this business, and not necessarily everyone else that would now be on the table when you take investment money, right? Like you have to start answering to them, and to a degree, right? That's what a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize is, once you take investment money, you're now responsible to other stakeholders. But I'm just sensing that, God is going to use the Shade Room in a big way, in a powerful way. But you're already commanding that, like, just with how it's been ranked amongst all these other media companies. And I know it's hard. And as you grow and you develop the business, like, how do you own your value in this space? Because you have such a powerful reach, and I know that people's perception of the Black community is different. But how do you own the value of your business, especially as you're negotiating, talking to customers? Like, how is that?
That's hard. That's hard because you get devalued in not just by well, first of all, I'm a Black woman. You know what I mean? That's number one. So just by nature, when I'm going into these rooms, it's almost like, I don't want to say they discredit me, but I need about 2-3 men behind me to say the same thing I said already. You know what I'm saying? Like, I said this, but I need
sexism.
Let me bring in the men so they can say it for me, because y'all didn't hear me the first time. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Right. But also, I think that the property is devalued in the sense that, complex, right? Like, I remember there was an instance where there was a big company who Complex on Instagram. It was social media posts. So it was like they were going to pay Complex and they were going to pay us. And no diss to Complex, but like on social media, the Shade Room is the number 3 most engaged platform on Instagram, period. So it's like, and Complex is whatever. But like, what I'm trying to say is this, right? They wanted to pay Complex at least 10 times what they were paying us for, or at least 100 times less in engagement. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And so that right there is just the gist of what the industry is like. You know what I mean? They're like,
you have to navigate. Yeah.
And it's not just me, it's every Black platform. It's Black creators, it's Black businesses. It's everybody. There, we're always devalued because we're black, and you know what I mean. And people just don't feel like they have to pay us the same as they would pay a white company for whatever reason, you know. And so
Mhm.
we've had to fight for that. We've had to say, or maybe they don't like our jargon. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Mhm.
we might have a Z on the end of something. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Right.
What is that? You know. And so we just had to continuously show them like, hey, you know, this is our reach. This is how deep we are in the black community, because I forgot the numbers, but I think like some crazy amount of percentage of black people in the US follow the shade room, right? And
Mhm.
so we just had to kind of tell them like no, like, and stand our ground, and that meant losing money in certain seasons, because
Yeah.
people would walk away and say we're not paying that. And
Yeah.
we were like, okay, you know, you have to sometimes stand your ground
Yes.
to get what you're worth.
Yes.
And that means you may lose a little bit, but in the
Right.
end, you'll win. And so that's what we've had to do, is just really stand our ground and say, this is what we're worth. Go somewhere else and try to get that same.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
when you come back, you pay the price. You're going to pay the price.
Exactly.
Or
Exactly.
you
And the
know,
price,
lighten up.
right. That's what I say. Oh,
Right?
it's gonna go
You
up.
so
Oh,
you
yes.
kind of
And
got to
I,
set your own value, and you have to stand by that, you know, and
yeah.
other people will begin to respect it if they want what you got, you know. So
Yeah. And I
yeah.
love that about you. I love that you have built the courage to stand your ground in this way. And I know it's not easy,
Mm,
but I just know that you have built something so powerful, so influential. And I know that God is going to reward you for this. Reward you for your obedience, and He's going to reward you like 100-fold, 1,000-fold, like to the point where all of this won't even matter,
mm.
because of the power and the influence that you have, and how it influences the culture. Like, we got to be real, and we got to give you your props. Like, it is the most influential media platform for our culture. But I do feel that God can use it in so many ways. I see how it's evolved, with all the many things that you're now producing. Like, what is coming new for the Shade Room? I've seen a preview of what's happening.
Yeah, well we've been able to produce 3 shows so far, and we perform one of the highest in Facebook Watch program, which is cool because you got Will Smith and everybody and their mama in that program, you know. So
Yeah.
for us to perform that high in the program was great, and we started like series of our own. Like we started a new investigative series, which is along the line of that Black CNN type of thing,
Yes.
where we
Yes.
have Justin Carter, who is he's an Emmy-winning reporter that we took from ABC News Channel and brought him
Wow.
over here, and
Yes.
we tried it and it went crazy. I think the last one did like 5.4 million views, and like for me that was faith, because people trivialize the shade room and what we do, and so like I said, seeing God's vision for it and saying, okay, He's like, no, you could be a real news platform for Black people, and for Black news, and to like hard news, that we need to see.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like it just didn't make any sense. But then when we did that and we tried it, I was like, wow, they actually like this for like from us. And they were saying they like that better than the regular shade room, you know?
Wow.
So that's some of the things that we have up the pipeline. We got renewed for Facebook Watch, so we have 3 more new shows coming out. And so
Amen.
we're really expanding. And the shows were good shows. We had a show for plus size models that was
Mhm.
very positive, no cattiness. It was just women showing women love. We had a show called Shady Brunch, which was highlighting chefs that from all around the world that
Yes.
were cooking these fun meals.
Yeah.
And then Blocked is our dating show. You know what I mean? So we've had some pretty positive and good shows, and we've been able to, honestly, a lot of philanthropy too. We've been able to do a lot of philanthropy and just really
Yes.
help give back to the community. And so I'm excited for where we're headed. But
I'm
uh,
so excited too. I'm so excited too. And that's another thing I love about you, your generous heart, how you give back. And listen, this is going to flourish. This is going to flourish like beyond your wildest dreams. So
thank you.
I'm just
Is that
happy
something
that.
you see from God, or you just saying that? You just saying that to me? You feel it in your
No, I'm a text you what God said, what God revealed to me this morning. I was praying, for the interviews and when I text you the questions. But I was like, wow. I was like, all right, Lord.
Oh,
And I'm just here, to encourage, to, continue to, help bring the vision to life in any way that I can by supporting you, and just know that it is going to flourish. And I love how you're staying true to the Black community as you're doing this, because so many of these other media companies and platforms, they have really capitalized on our content and capitalized on our image in different ways. So it's time for us to own. It's time for us to own the culture in this way. And you're a powerful example of that. But I love how your gifts are just continuing to make room for you. And you already started to share how you're so gifted in writing. And I know that that's your ultimate passion, your ultimate. And how have you leaned more into that gift recently? Because I know writing has come back to the forefront again with some new projects.
yeah. So I'm working on a monster project right now, and I call it monster because you know I thought I am good at writing, but this is a new thing for me. I wrote
Mhm.
when I wrote my first script. I co-wrote it with Jordana Spiro, and so that was a different experience because she got her master's in screenwriting. You know what I'm saying? So like it was
Yeah.
I could send her some foolishness and she could like fix it up and make it good.
Yeah.
But this one, I have a movie with Universal. Issa Rae is producing it. It's called Juju, and I
Mhm.
was just on the phone with my team earlier today, and it's been a journey. You know what I mean? I had to really
Mhm.
be humbled. I was humbled. I was like, whoa! I didn't realize how hard it is to write a script and
Really?
to do it solo. Like it's a lot.
Is it like the critique? Do you get critique back, or what is that like?
Yeah, so I wrote my first draft, and I thought it was hot, like hot. I was like, "Oh, they gonna love this."
Right.
He sent it back like, "Girl, this is trash. Like, you need
Oh
to start."
no.
They were like, "You need to start from the ground up and work on it." They gave me mentors and books, and I remember I had my mentor is Charles Murray. He used to write for Star Wars, and he
Wow.
had me come over to his house and he told me I forgot what he said, but basically he was like when he first like asked me a few questions, he's like, "You're an amateur." He's like, and I was like, he's like, "You are like an amateur. You don't even know any movies. You don't even you know what I'm saying." And so it was like I was truly humble, but I'm grateful for the experience because I realize it's like I gotta respect the craft. You can't just come in and
Yes.
you can't just screenwrite. Like it's not one of those. It's not like a rapper
Right.
who can just rap. It's not like that. It's like you need to know technique. You need to research. You need to watch all the movies. My mentor had like 3,000 movies on Apple TV. Like what? You know what I mean? I'm like
Wow.
what? You
Right.
know what I mean? Like you
Wow.
gotta you gotta know character art, character development. You gotta dig inside yourself for some
Right.
things. You know what I mean? So that you can relate to the characters, and it's not a game. And I learned
Wow.
that this, especially for a big studio like Universal. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I came in as an amateur, but now I'm like in such a short time. I gotta get it done, and I gotta get it done well. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
it's been very challenging, but I know because God has shown me what He has for me in writing, and so I'm like, okay, God showed me I'm gonna be here. Right now, I'm here, and it seems like a leap years. You know what I mean to get to where
Right.
He told me. But the only thing I could do is just hit it from the ground and just start building up that skill. So
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
listen, God is accelerating as well. We're like in a season of acceleration. And so I believe
Mm,
that whenever we're challenged, it's a
yeah.
part of character building, and it's a
Mm,
part of stretching our faith. And so that you can ask God more. Like sometimes He puts you in a position where you can only depend on Him for the answer.
yeah.
And that's the stretching process. And I love how you're being transparent about that, especially as you're tapping into other parts of your gifts, because we all know that our gifts make room for us. And so your
Mhm.
gifts are moving you into new rooms, to new productions, new screens. And it's just really so beautiful to see. And I'm curious about, like, how do you find your voice as you're writing, and writing different things? Like, how do you tap into that?
You know what? That's such a very good question, and the reason why is because I recently talked to my sister about that. I was like
Hmm.
in tears. I won't lie, I was in tears, and I was like, I want to write like Jordan Peele. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to write like Jordan Peele. You know, I want to, be brilliant like that. And Beast of Southern Wild is one of my favorite movies, and I want to write a film like that. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
Yes.
I was like, but what am I? Like who am I? You know what I mean? And she said, you won't know who you are until you just do it. She was like,
Wow.
Jordan Peele didn't know he was Jordan Peele. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Until he became Jordan Peele.
Until he became Jordan Peele. He probably was asking the same thing. He probably was like, I want to write like Stephen King. You never know.
Right.
So it's like, so she told me, she was like, you're not gonna be able to know what your voice is right now. You have to work, put it out, work, put more out. You know what I'm saying? Practice,
Right.
and then one day somebody's gonna say, "Dang, how do I write like Angelica Nwandu?"
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
I want to write like Angelica Nwandu. So I think that
Oh,
it's a discovery process,
it
and you
is.
have to be patient with yourself, and you have to say, "Okay, I may not know what my voice is just yet, because there's no way for me to know what my voice is. This is my first time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
My first go
So
around."
you, yeah, you discover it along the way. Like, it's like you're discovering it in real time as you're like pulling
Yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Because then the only thing you can do to know your voice is to be true to you. Don't
Yeah.
write don't write anything that don't feel right to you. Don't write anything that doesn't resonate with you. Don't write anything that you can't really like, connect with. You know what I'm saying? But if you can connect with it, don't try to be Jordan Peele. Because see, if I try to be Jordan Peele, I can't do Jordan Peele well. I just
Right.
I never will be able to be Jordan Peele. Like that's Jordan Peele. So I'm like, okay, fine.
Wow.
What's my style? I can take some things I like from Jordan Peele and be like, well, I want to incorporate.
Right.
I could take some things I like from Stephen King. I could take, because it's a horror film that it's a comedy, horror comedy, right?
Yeah.
I could take some things I like from all different types of people, but what does everything that I like and I'm inspired by in a melting pot is going to be me. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
it's experiment. You got to experiment to find your voice.
Wow, yeah. I love
Mm-hmm.
that because it reinforces that, everything is inside of you, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
like, the greatness that you're seeking, like, if the measurement is Jordan Peele, God is like, nah, the greatness is in you. You are the greatness. So I need you to pull it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, another part of stretching our faith, right? To know that it is inside of you, and now you're going through the process of creating something beautiful out of it. And however many edits it takes to get there, I know it's going to be a masterpiece because of the process that God designs. And so, I am just amazed and happy for you because I know that you're someone that has succeeded against all odds. And a lot of people face that on their journey to success. So what would you share with everyone, like, about faith, about, going towards your dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what you know now, like, what advice would you share?
There was something that you told me when you invited me to your house for your party. Remember?
Mm, my
and,
birthday? Yeah.
yeah, and you said something to me that I never forgot, and I actually
Mm,
carried it with me, and it's something that I think back to all the time. You said something about your measure of faith matches your measure
mhm,
of blessings, or something like that. What did you say? It
mhm.
was like
Yes,
the measure
yes,
you have matches the measure of blessings. And it was
yes.
interesting because I I don't know if I can share this. Can I talk about this?
Girl, yes, yes, we're here.
So Candace, when she before she met her husband and before she had kids, um, she was single at one point, and me and
Yep.
her were talking about faith in God, and marriage and the things that we wanted. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, seeing going to her house later, right? Knowing that we used to pray about that.
We
You know
prayed
what I mean?
about
We
it.
used to
Come
talk
on
about
now.
that. And then
Come
going to
on
her
now.
house and seeing that she was with her husband and she has these beautiful children. Two.
Mm.
I said, it was faith personified. It was God
Personified.
personified. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like
Come
it's
on, Lord.
it was his work. I saw with my own two eyes her go from this
Yes.
to that. You know what I'm saying? Having a full blown family and a beautiful one at that,
Yes.
and being blessed, and you know what I mean. And so for me, when she said your measure of faith is your measure of blessing, it really touched me, and it was something I could never forget because
Mm.
I said, okay, you mean to tell me the more faith I have, the bigger God gonna go? You know what I
Come
mean?
on now. Come
You
on,
know
Angie.
what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
there's a scripture
Yes.
there's a scripture in the Bible that says, it's a very short scripture, and it says, and he did not do many miracles there because they lacked faith or something like
They
that.
lacked faith, yeah.
You know
And
what
I
I mean?
remember part of our what we were talking about, one of the scriptures I shared with you was be it unto you according to your belief as well.
Mm.
And
That
that's the
was it.
part.
That was it. That was what she
Yes.
said. I messed it up a little bit, but that was what she said. So for those of you guys who are struggling with faith, I just encourage you to be bold in your faith,
Yes. Be
and I encourage
bold.
you to test God. I mean, not test him, but you know what I mean. Like
Right.
he loves for you to, you know, believe in him because it
Yes.
makes him want to do more for you. It makes him
Yes.
want to show you. It makes him want to affirm your belief in him. And so I
Yes.
believe the big things. Don't be afraid to have faith about it, because
Mhm.
God's going to do it. And don't. We talked about, oh, God gave me this big vision. How could I get there? We know how God is. He makes it so that
Right.
you can't get there by yourself.
Right.
The only way you can get there is some miraculous thing happening, and then that's what he wants, so that when you get there,
Right.
you say, God did it.
God
That's
did
what
it.
God. You know what I
That's
mean?
gonna be our testimony. Yes.
Exactly. Everything he do it big. So I will.
Big.
You
Yes.
guys have to have faith even when it's hard, even if it takes years, even if it feels like the vision and the promise is delayed, even if it feels like
Mhm.
everything is about to fall apart. You know how many everything is about to fall apart I've had in the last 7 years? But each time I look
Wow.
back and I'm like, oh, well, if God did that, or he
Right.
brought me out of that, he brought me out of that and that, he could bring me out of this. You know what I mean? Like,
Can
it's
bring
like,
you out of that. Come
so
on now.
I would
Wow.
say have faith. You ain't got to be Hercules with faith. You just need faith
Wow.
to believe, and trust in God, and don't limit God. So
And
that.
don't limit God. Amen. Wow. That blessed me. Thank you for that reminder. Wow. And I love what you said, to be bold. God wants us to be bold in this season. Like, be bold with your dreams, be bold with your faith, and continue trusting him. Continue trusting him. And as he expands you, just know that he's bigger, even bigger than you imagine. So the big things that it takes for you, Angie, to achieve the vision that God showed you, just continue believing him, and that is happening. It's happening before our very eyes. I mean, we see it. But we know that we talked about earlier, the weight of being the one at the head of the table, right? The weight of being the one in charge, being the business owner who has to make the decisions, who has to make those moves. Like, that is not easy, not easy. So we celebrate you today. I mean, you have built something again that's unprecedented. Talk about unprecedented times, right? Like, and God's going to use, manifest his promises in this pandemic. And we're seeing it happen through you. And I appreciate you just sharing your testimony today. And for being an amazing friend. Oh my God. You really helped change my walk with God. Because part of how he was stretching me was about believing in my value and walking in my authority. And you helped me with that in a very specific way, with my birthday gift, if you remember.
Oh
Those
wow.
shoes. That was, let me tell you, it wasn't just the shoes. That was a message from God. It was a message from
Really? Oh
God.
wow. Okay. I was thinking, I don't know if she gonna like this gift, but okay.
No, girl, it was on time, and it's a constant reminder for me to walk in my authority,
Wow.
and to walk in boldness.
Mm.
So I just appreciate you so much. I appreciate how you let God move, and I can't wait to see what's to come.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to be here, and thank you everybody for listening and having me.
Yes, thank you for
Blessings
tuning in.
on this
Yes.
shift. Am I the last one?
You're the last one. Yes, you're closing us out for today. Yes. So, thank you so much again. This has been the Mountain of Media. You guys have gotten the inside scoop behind the most powerful media platform out here, y'all. And I just know that God is using it in a very big way. So, wow. Thank you so much, Angie. Thank
Bye.
you. I'll talk to you soon.
Text me. Don't forget to text me because I'm trying to
Oh
know.
yeah, I'm gonna text you. Yes, I sure will.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, bye. Wow. Wow. Okay, y'all. Wow. Day 2 of the Shift Summit. I mean, wow. Wow. Come on, y'all. Come on, Lord. Come on, Lord. We are now at the close of today. The 7 mountains of influence. We have moved through every mountain of influence in our culture. So can you guys see what God is doing? Can you guys see it now? This was a vision by God given to me, and I had to have the courage to bring this to fruition. And I just thank everyone, every person who joined me today. You guys just don't even know how big of a part you've had in the movement of God here on the earth. And I just thank you all for attending. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for supporting me, all of my friends, my family who are here, my supporters. I also want to especially thank one of my spiritual mentors, Miss Deborah Lee Barrett. I'm the founder of Catapult Global. I'm the business strategist for Catapult Global, and she has also mentored me to really get to this point as I'm walking spiritually in my calling. And I just thank everyone who is here, the Mayavana team, Mayavana family. You guys just wait to see what's coming for Mayavana, y'all. It is about to go down. We're transforming industries, we're transforming lives, we're transforming the culture. And, I have to hold back my tears because I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that this came together. My God. Whew, my God. So, whew, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. This is all for God's glory. This is all for God's kingdom to come here on earth as it is in heaven. And I love you all so much. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for all of your comments. And thank you for all of your prayers. Thank you for all of your prayers. Um, I don't know what's next, but I will let you know as soon as God tells me. So, all of you all who are registered, you guys are going to get an email from me. Um, woo, Lord, you guys are going to get an email. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. That's all I can say. So, we're going to close this day out. I have one more video for you all, another worship song, because we are moving forward. We are moving forward in victory. We're moving forward in victory, okay? So you guys need to understand where your sphere of influence is, what your mountain of influence is, and start to walk in it, okay? Start walking in it. Start walking in it. I'm taking the mountain of business. I want to know, what mountain are you taking? What mountain are you taking? and we're going to let God lead, okay? We're going to get back to the basics. We're going to let God lead. All right. I love you all so much. Thank you, Courtney, my best friend. Thank you to all of my friends that joined. Thank you to Harvey, one of our investors, our angels that has supported me, that has really, really been instrumental in my Ivana's success. And yes, there is more to come. God showed me a preview. There is more to come for the shifts. So more is coming, okay? All right, so we're about to close out. And so I have a worship song for you all to close out today. And this is all about now walking in victory, okay? God gave us this shift, right? And so now we need to walk in victory. It's time to walk in victory. So this is a song actually from my playlist that I listen to almost every day. And so I want us to all now walk into victory today, okay? So Shadera, thank you so much for being my lovely assistant. So let's cue up the video. When it comes up, I want you to press play. I want you to turn the music up, and I want you to let it, just let God flow through you, okay? Just let God flow. All right. All right, let's go. Let's cue up the video. You guys have an amazing week. Woo, we're in a new season, a new era. It's time to unleash our greatness. It's time to be all that we've been called to be, walking in our purpose. And thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you. There is more to come. There is more to come.